All right, Larry Krueger here from the Pig and a Pickle Krug Show with a little 49er video as we preview 49ers-Rams in advance of this Week 10 tilt between the Niners and the Rams at Levi's. 49ers roll in 6-3, third place in the NFC West. The Rams roll in at 6-2, tied for first in the division, and something's got to give. Now, Niners, of course, got a 3-point win at SoFi in Week 5 over this Rams team. Can they sweep the Rams with Mac Jones is the question. Now, the big question is, can the 49ers get off the field on third downs? With Fred Warner, and Warner was there in Week 5 when the Niners beat the Rams. The Niners had a 33.8% defensive third down percentage. That's dropped to 48.7 without Fred Warner. So the Niners are having a hard time getting off the field on third downs since Fred Warner left, and that is going to be a huge thing. Can the Niners win on third down? Looking back at last week, the highest graded 49ers on defense last week were Renardo Green, Malik Mustafa, and Jair Brown. And those three guys are really going to have to be on their game this week because Matthew Stafford's a hell of a quarterback, having a great year, and he's got some terrific receivers, including Puka Nacua, who might be one of the best in the league right now. He's got a chest injury, but he's going to play, as well as Devontae Adams, who's, you could make an argument that Adams is one of the best receivers in pro football. Now, the highest graded 49ers on offense last week against the Giants were Sky Moore, Brian Robinson, and Dom Pooney. And I think all three of those guys are going to be kind of key in this one as well. Can the 49ers run the ball at the Rams and dominate the time of possession and control the clock and keep that Rams explosive offense on the sidelines? Well, a lot of that's going to be determined up front by Dom Pooney and maybe even Brian Robinson. Robinson could have a significant role in this game for sure. One thing that was interesting and one thing that will be interesting is who starts at left guard. Jake Brendel's back. He's going to start at center for Matt Hennessy. But who starts at left guard? Last week, it was Spencer Burford. It had been Connor Colby, but Ben Barch also has been activated. Will we see the veteran Barch back at left guard? So that's a big question mark to look for in this game. The 49ers averaged 8 yards per carry running into the B gap next to Burford against the Giants last week. So as far as, the other key in this game is, can the Niners put some pass rush on Matthew Stafford? I mean, that's a big question. The Niners' highest graded pass rusher last week against the New York Giants was their new trade acquisition. That's right. Keon White had a team high 31.3% win rate in true pass sets, which is good to see that he's doing well, but it's also kind of discouraging that he's the Niners' leading pass rusher. The 49er pass rush rankings this season, they are 29th in sacks, 28th in pressures, and 31st in pressure rate, pressuring the quarterback only 29.4% of the time. One note from this week, not related to the game, the 49ers are not opening the practice window this week for Brandon Ayuk, according to Kyle Shanahan. I think there's some question whether or not Ayuk's even going to play this year. Shanahan thinks he's going to, but then when he was pushed on it a little bit, he said, well, at least we'll have the practice window open this year. So, there's no question it was a devastating injury. John Lynch referred to the injury this week on KMBR as catastrophic. And I think that really puts it in perspective. When you have a catastrophic injury, it really takes the timeline just out of the equation altogether. So we really don't have any idea when Ayuk's going to be back. We know he won't be back for this game against the Rams on Sunday. One guy who will be is Bryce Huff, who's back from the hamstring. He's expected to return. That is a huge, huge get for the Niners because Huff is an absolute menace off the edge. As far as quarterback, Mac Jones is going to start. He's 5-2 as the starter so far. He's been playing great ball. According to ESPN's Jeremy Fowler, if Purdy doesn't suit up against the Rams, the Niners expect he'll return in Week 11 against the Cardinals. Fowler added, they're hopeful that if it's not this week, it's definitely going to be next week. That's at least the loose plan right now. The 49ers officially listed Purdy as questionable for this game. His game status will likely be determined about 90 minutes before kickoff at Levi's as Kyle Shanahan makes his final decision. But Mac Jones is going to start. The question is Brock Purdy going to be their backup, or is he going to be inactive? The Niners, as I said, 5-2 under Mac Jones. Jones is making less money than other backups around the league. He's making less money than Zach Wilson, less money than Jarrett Stidham. Really, if you're the 49ers, so you got to feel good about quarterback because you got two quarterbacks in their mid-20s who can really run this offense. They can process, they can be accurate with the ball, and they can lead the team. ESPN's Dan Orlovsky insisted that there's a quarterback controversy. There's none right now, but there easily could be one if Purdy comes back and struggles. I think right then and there, you're going to have 49er fans saying, hey, what about Mac Jones? Why don't we go back to Mac Jones? So that's how that sits right now. One guy who's playing great football who had 16 tackles last week is Tatum Bethune. And I was looking at the tackle leaders since Bethune hit the lineup in week 6. He leads the NFL in tackles with 44, 3 more than Cedric Gray of the Titans, 4 more than Barrett Carter. For the leading tackler since week 6 in the NFL is Tatum Bethune. I mean, that is incredible. And if you look at since week 6, when Warner went down, the Niners defense is 25th in EPA per play, but they're 6th against the run, 25th against the pass. So we'll see if they can stop the Rams' vaunted passing attack in this one. Couple other notes. The Niners did not make a deal at the trade deadline, so they seem pretty content to go with Bryce Huff, Keon White, Cleveland Farrell, Sam Aquinu, and maybe Robert Beal as their top 5 defensive ends. We'll see if they look outside the organization. There's other guys on practice squads. The Eagles just cut Antoine Powell-Ryland from their practice squad. So, he was their 6th-round pick. He was a prolific pass rusher at Vatech. Will the 49ers show some interest in Antoine Powell-Ryland? I guess time will tell on that. As far as the Niners, they didn't make any trades at the deadline. They do expect to get a number of guys back between now and the end of the year. Who's on that list? Well, Brock Purdy, Ricky Pearsall, Brandon Ayuk, Jacob Cowing, Jake Brendel, Ben Barch, Bryce Huff, and Yatir Gross-Matos. So that's a lot of talent coming back. One guy who's absolutely carried the 49ers is Christian McCaffrey, and I would imagine he's going to continue to be a huge player in this one today. McCaffrey's touched the ball through 9 games more than any player has in the last 5 years. He's headed towards a 1,000 campaign for sure. He was honored this week, or nominated this week, I should say, for the FedEx Air and Ground Player of the Year. He's on pace for the most touches by a player aged 29 or older in NFL history. He leads the NFL in carries, touches, scrimmage yards, all by a wide margin. He's got 100 scrimmage yards in 8 of 9 games this season, 2 more than any other player in the league. The Niners are the only team in the NFL without a run, by the way, of at least 20 yards, and they've had 269 consecutive carries without a run that long. We'll see if they can bust one in this game. As far as I mentioned, Brendel could be back. Matt Hennessy's numbers when he filled in for Brendel in 3 games were pretty good. 86 pass blocking opportunities, no sacks allowed, only 3 pressures and only 1 quarterback hit, and no penalties. So Brendel in 453 snaps has also allowed no sacks. He's given up 9 pressures with a 54.2 pass block grade and a 78.3 run block grade. Of course, on the call in this one is going to be Troy Clarity sitting in for Greg Papa with Tim Ryan on the radio side. Kevin Burkhardt and Tom Brady will be on the TV side for Fox. The playoff picture, if the playoffs began today, the 49ers would be in. They'd be the 6th seed in the NFC, and they would take on the number 3 seed, the Seattle Seahawks. One thing to look for in this game is the Rams come in using a lot of tight ends, using a lot of heavy personnel, 13 personnel. I asked Robert Saleh, do you expect to see a lot of 13 personnel? He said we'd probably see a lot of 12 personnel, which instead of 3 tight ends is 2 tight ends. So do the Niners counter with a run-heavy look? Do they go to some bigger bodies on the defensive side of the ball? Do they stay in their base? We're going to find out. The Rams are using their multiple tight end sets to try to help them run the ball, and they've had some success doing it. The Niners are looking at Asante Samuel on Monday. He'll be visiting the 49ers. He's looking around the league, coming back from a neck injury. The 49ers special teams players held a players-only meeting after week 4. This was according to a report this week. Saran Neal called for it, saying the team was one of the worst special teams in the league. Brant Boyer backed the move and loved it because, hey, man, the players are taking accountability. They've been top 3 ever since that meeting. The Niners last year were dead last in special teams. This year, they're number 2. Now, a lot of that's Eddie Pinheiro making kicks, but Brant Boyer is starting to turn around the special teams unit. As far as Robert Saleh, his impact has been profound. 49ers last year were 29th against the run. Now, they did draft a lot of run defenders, guys who are strong run defenders. They're now 6th against the run overall. Some things to look for between now and kickoff. D. Winters, Tatum Bethune, both officially listed as questionable. Also, Alfred Collins, Keon White, Kalia Davis, Ben Barch, all listed as questionable in addition to Brock Purdy. So there'll be a lot of injury pregame information to look for on Sunday. As far as Ricky Pearsall's 6-game absence, Kyle Shanahan said, man, he can run and hit certain speeds, but he hasn't been able to hit his normal speeds that would allow him to come back. We're waiting until he hits his markers. I mean, he's been out for 6 weeks with this PCL strain, and the 49ers need him badly. As far as keys to victory in this thing today, one thing the Niners have to do is they got to protect the quarterback. I mean, somehow, some way, they got to keep Byron Young and Jared Verse off of Mac Jones. Young has got 10 sacks on the season. That's second in the league. McKivitz has struggled the last couple of weeks with Brian Burns and Will Anderson. He's got to stand up in this game if the 49ers are going to have any chance of potentially winning it. He allowed 4 pressures last week, or in week 5, I should say, giving up a sack and 2 quarterback hurries. So will we see George Kittle, possibly in part of the protection? I think there's a very high likelihood of that. Protecting the football is going to be key in this game. 49ers have 13 turnovers on the season, 9 interceptions, 4 fumbles. They're ranked 8th on the season, tied with Carolina, the Raiders, the Vikings, the Titans, and the Seahawks in giveaways. The Rams rank 7th in takeaways with 12 on the season. They have 7 picks and 5 fumbles recovered. Mac Jones has got to play efficient football. He's got to take what the defense gives him. There's no question about that. The Niners are going to have to protect the football if they want to win this game. They're also going to have to limit explosives. In their week 5 matchup with the Rams, the 49er defense allowed only 7 explosive plays, 5 in the air of 20-plus yards, 2 on the ground of 10-plus yards. The Rams will not, this is really a break. The Rams won't have their main speedster, Tutu Atwell. So Atwell's a 4-3 burner. So that really, I think, really helps the Niners because you don't have to deal with Atwell's vertical speed. And I think probably the number one key in this game is avoid negative plays on offense on first and second down. The Rams haven't given up a 3rd and 12 or longer all season long in 9 weeks of football. It's really hard to believe. They're death in 3rd and long situations. You have to stay out of 3rd and long. One area where the 49ers have been better this year is in the red zone. On defense. Last year, their red zone touchdown percentage was 68% allowed. That was 31st in the NFL. Only one team was worse. This year, they're better. 54% red zone touchdown percentage allowed. That's 8th best in the NFL. Niners made some moves over the weekend. They elevated Sebastian Valdez and Cleveland Farrell from the practice squad. They also announced that Ben Barch has been activated off the IR, that Cleveland Farrell and Valdez elevated off the practice squad, and Mikael Williams officially done for the year, placed on season-ending IR. It's interesting. Anytime when it's like, what do you expect in this game? Expect it to be close. When the teams locked horns in week 5, it was a 3-point game. Niners won on a field goal in overtime. According to ESPN research, it was the 8th game, including the playoffs, when McVay and Shanahan's teams have gone against each other, where the game's been decided by 3 points or less, which is tied for the 3rd most of any NFL coaching matchup in NFL history. So when Shanahan and McVay coach against each other, man, it is a knockdown, drag out, battle royale. As far as betting trends, the Rams are 4-1 against the spread against the Niners since 2023. The only loss coming earlier this season in LA. The Rams defense, the major, kind of game within the game is the middle of the field. Mac Jones has had a lot of success in the middle of the field. He leads all NFL quarterbacks in passing value to the middle of the field based on the DIR, the defense adjusted yards above replacement metric. But the Rams rank 7th in defensive DVOA against passes up the middle. So this is going to be a strength against a strength. Can the 49ers pass in the middle of the field, or is the Rams defense going to take that away? One thing that the Niners have to contend with is the future Hall of Famer Matthew Stafford, and he is playing like an MVP. 75% last week, 281 yards, 4 touchdowns, no picks against the Saints. On the season, 67%, 21 touchdowns, 2 picks. He's been sacked 13 times. He has -6 rushing yards total, so he doesn't run. 21 touchdowns in the NFL, though. That's the most in the NFL. Herbert and Bo Nix are second and third, with Nix with 12, or Herbert with 12, and I should say Nix with 18, I believe. So 21 touchdowns for Matthew Stafford. He's having a fantastic year. One other note, Niners announced they've signed Andrew Farmer to their practice squad. They cut Stone Blanton from the practice squad. Farmer played at Lane College. I mean, this is what happens when you don't get anything done at the trade deadline as far as help on the defensive line. You start signing guys from Lane College, which is just hard to believe, but that's a reality. So there you have it. 49ers and Rams. Could the Rams blow the Niners out? Yeah, they could. To me, this one's has to be complimentary football. It's the nine. Really, there's two main factors in this game. The Niners offense and defense have to team up, play complimentary football, and neutralize the Rams offense. You're not going to be able, the Niners defense will not be able to stop this Rams offense. So you have to keep them on the sidelines. You have to play complimentary football. The 49ers have to win time of possession. The Rams can win a lot of different ways. They can win with a lead. They can win without a lead. They can win running the ball. They can win throwing the ball. The Niners have to dominate the time of possession, I think by a decided margin, and keep that Rams offense on the sidelines. I think that's how you're going to win as far as Niners D against Rams, though. Now, the Niners offense, the key in this game, I think is not just, obviously score points, but, it's the short passing game. You can't give Verse and Young, their edge rushers, hits on the quarterback. You just can't do it. Ball's got to come out. It's got to come out on time. It's got to come out quick. They got to run the ball a lot. Run the ball, short passing game, take a couple shots down the field. But Mac Jones has got to get into a rhythm, and he's got to attack. We'll see what kind of coverage the Rams play in this game. But, man, Mac Jones is going to have to play. The Niners are going to have to avoid mistakes on first and second down. Jones is going to have to get rid of the ball quickly, and they're going to have to run the ball. If Jones gets rid of it quickly and takes care of it, if the Niners can run the ball, if the 49ers can dominate the time of possession, if Robert Saleh can mix in some exotic blitzes, the 49ers have a shot to win this game. It's a slim shot, but they have a shot. I'm going to say 49ers win it 28-27 in an all-time barn burner. I would like to say it's going to be a lower scoring game than that, but I don't think the Niner defense is going to be able to make it happen. So I'm depending on the 49er offense to score at least 4 touchdowns. So I'm going to say 28-27 49ers. Niners go to 4-0 in the division and take a stranglehold on the division lead with a win over the Rams. That's how I see it. I'm hoping that the Niners get it done. I could see the Rams route this thing as well because they're rolling and the 49ers are struggling. But as I said, history says the Niners, when under Shanahan and McVay, play tight games. I expect another tight one, 28-27 49ers. All right. Thanks to all of you. Thanks to Pig and a Pickle for being the title sponsor of the Krug Show. We should tell you 49er football season, all season long, is presented by Sleeper, the fastest growing fantasy platform in the world. It's a one-stop shop. You get blazing fast news, real-time stats, group chat, season-long leagues, and, of course, Sleeper picks for daily fantasy. Use promo code Larry, Larry, and Sleeper will match your first deposit up to $100. Links in the description. Terms and conditions do apply. Thanks to Sleeper. Thanks to Pig and a Pickle. Thanks to all of you for supporting the Krug Show on YouTube.